So this is the exact system that I've developed over the last 6 years or so. Put hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people through. We've pulled anywhere between 20, 70, 80, even 90 pounds of body fat off people. Got countless amounts of people sub 10% body fat using this exact system, which I'm going to go through for you in a moment. And this is essentially like everything that I've learned, summarized and, you know, dumbed down quite significantly to be like a main operating procedure. And if you follow this, like it's so unbelievably hard. Like if you know what you're doing and you have like a rough idea, like it's so hard to have this understanding of exactly what to do at every single step of a fat loss journey when you run into a roadblock and not get unbelievable results. And so like this is exactly the same stuff. We'll pull this up here, exactly the same stuff that we did here with Charlie, who lost 70 pounds, same stuff we did with Jordan, who's a coach himself, Antoine, the coach himself, Sam, you know, he actually did some muscle building before, as you can probably tell, and then got absolutely shredded in this fat loss phase. Was maybe like 4 months, 5 months, something like that. Lewis, who's one of our coaches, and you know, after the gaining phase where, you know, gained a little bit of body fat but gained lots and lots of size, we ragged it all off, maintained his muscle mass, which is the main thing in a fat loss phase. You have to make sure you maintain the muscle mass, otherwise you just look shit at the end. Same thing with Matthew, won transformation of the year this year. Rohan, Dan, you know, Josh, he actually was in a muscle building phase. Like his transformation was just sick anyway, so we put it on transformation of the year. And so it's like exactly the same systems that we've used with hundreds and hundreds of people. And this is essentially what we do. This is a main operating procedure. And so you see it's titled here, Fat Loss Decision Tree for Photo Shoot Prep. It's exactly the same if you're trying to lose 10 pounds, if you're trying to lose 5 pounds, if you're trying to lose 90 pounds, it's exactly the same. We've just got to understand how the body works, the key core fundamentals. And I'm not going to go into details here of how many calories you should have, you know, what your training should look like. This is with the assumption that everything you've done from your initial setup is perfect. This is how we look at weekly changes that need to be made. Okay, now, the setup is fucking hugely important. I've got loads of other free shit where hopefully you've already got access to that, where you can find out what your calories should be. You can, you know, use free training program templates that we've got. So this is making the assumption that everything you're already doing is perfect. Now we start here, like before we even dive into any of this, is like adherence first. Like, are you adhering to the plan? If you're not, then fucking shut up. Like, just stick to the plan or change it so you can stick to it. But we're going to go through like first of all, like the main things that people get stuck with. So it's like adherence. It's like, this is the biggest thing. Most people fuck up with this, right? If that's not a problem, another area that you know, is a huge challenge for most people is like they're losing body weight too fast. So it's like, if you're losing body weight too fast, you will feel amazing at the start. You'll lose lots of body fat, everything will be fine, and all of a sudden, bang, you'll hit a strong brick wall and you won't really be able to go anywhere from there. The next thing is like judging visuals, like how do your visuals look independent of how body fat is changing, how independent of training performance. This is where most people fuck up because they don't have the eye for it. And then the other thing is, if I can just scroll across here, it's like, you know, outside of these bits that I'm circling, it's pretty fucking straightforward, but this is where most people get stuck. Is like, is there room to push a bigger deficit? Sometimes there isn't. Maybe you're fucked. Maybe there's other variables that are masking fat loss. And so like essentially like this whole section here is where a lot of people fuck up because they just don't know how to manage fatigue. So we'll go through all of it now and make sure that you're in a position where you understand the basics of like decisions that need to be made. So like, again, adherence, like just fucking, if you're not sticking to the plan, it doesn't matter. End the video, just go and stick to the plan or change it so you can stick to it. Now, if you are sticking to the plan, is your rate of loss between 0.5 to 1.5% of your body weight, is it in that range every single week? So let's say you weigh 100 kilos, like if you haven't lost half a kilo this week, then there's a problem. You're not fitting into that range. If you've lost more than 1.5 kilos, which would be 0.5 to 1.5%, if you lost more than that, it's too fast. So we then come to this bit, like if you are in that range, the answer is yes, then that's it, no change. Like, it doesn't matter what's going on, it doesn't matter what you see, what you think, what your emotions say about changes that you need to make. You don't need to make any changes at all. Just carry on exactly as you are and come back and check next week. If it's too slow and you're not in that range, or you're at a slower pace than you would ideally like to be, like sometimes, you know, 0.5% is quite slow, but like 1.5% pretty fast. Like if you want to be at like 1 to 1.5% to get like shredded quite quickly, and you're below that, you might be at, like it might just be too slow for you. So then we come to here, which I'll go through in a second because that's the bigger chunk where most people will be. Like, but then again, if you're too fast, you need to reduce the deficit straight away. So like if you're losing 2% of your body weight a week, so you weigh 100 kilos, you're losing 2 kilos a week. At the start, maybe it's fine, but like if you stay in that space for too long, like you need to reduce that deficit because your metabolism will slow down, your thyroid output will come down, your testosterone will come down, you'll stop losing body fat, you'll start losing muscle mass, and you'll just be in a position where your food gets stupidly low, cardio has to go ridiculously high, you start losing training performance in the gym, you get really weak, you get to the end of the fat loss phase and you have to dig much harder than you needed to, and you've also got not really much muscle mass at the end, so you look a bit shit. So it's like, we definitely don't want it to be too fast for too long. Now, that being said, if you've got like 6 weeks to get ready, do what you will. But like, if it's a properly structured fat loss phase where you want to look amazing at the end of it, we don't want to be above this range for too long. So then it comes to like, okay, we need to reduce the deficit. So how are you going to do that? Depending upon how you are as a person. And we will always gauge this based on the psychology of the individual, the lifestyle of the individual, like what actually is going to be best for that person in general. It's like, do they want to have it off plan on the weekend? Like, do they want to have a little bit of social life, a bit more of a social life, and they want to have an off plan meal on the weekend? Okay, that can just be, right, have 1,000 calories at the weekend for that meal, and that'll put us where we need to be. For example, based on that person's numbers, you want diet breaks added. So do we add a diet break every single weekend? Do we it's a bit more controlled? Do we add a diet break every 4th week, so we have a weekend maintenance, which would actually improve metabolism over the course of the dieting phase? Just higher food daily in general. So maybe if someone's really struggling with appetite, we just actually push food up a little bit. Maybe less expenditure daily. Maybe they're feeling really fatigued, and they actually just need to do less cardio and less steps, potentially, depending upon the individual. Like, sometimes someone really loves doing cardio, makes them feel like they're working hard, so like this would be a bad shout. Depending upon the person, and this is what it's important. You've got to understand yourself, and why we get such good results with people is because we understand people, because we work with so many, and we understand the patterns. It's like, this is an essential part of like understanding what is going to actually be best for you as a person. Now, assuming that makes sense, that's not too complex. Just got to understand that it can't be too fast, and once you know that, then it's quite easy. This bit here, if it's too slow, you've got to start looking at how do you look visually. So like, even if your rate of loss is too slow, that's not necessarily a problem, because it could just be a situation where the scales have gone up and down a little bit and there's a bit of fluctuation. Your average for that week is not where it needs to be. Now, if that is the case, you just have to look at your visuals. So if you look leaner at the end of that week, so if you've if you've done your body weight every single day, you take the average from this week and you take the average from last week, and it hasn't been the drop that you wanted, but you look in the mirror, you look at your progress photos and you are leaner, then doesn't matter, ignore your emotions, ignore how you feel about the body weight, doesn't matter, no change, get more data next week and go back to the start. And if it's stalled again the next week, then we would come back to this position, you're still leaner, but now it's been over 2 weeks. Okay, now we know there's probably some outside variables that are masking fat loss. You need to address those outside variables. So that could be sleep, that could be stress, that could be digestive issues, that could be low hormones, that could be all sorts of things, which is where like sort of most people get stuck. So that's if you are looking leaner. Now, most of the time, if your body weight drop is too slow, you probably look the same or worse. So we come here and we go, I look the same or worse. Okay, so in this situation, first question to ask is there room to push a bigger deficit? If the answer is yes, then push a bigger deficit. Like, this is what everyone knows to do. Everyone knows this path. Everyone knows, okay, I'm sticking to the plan. It's a little bit too slow. I look the same and worse, and so I'm just going to decrease my food, do more cardio and steps. Or if you're assisted, by the way, like, you can use client, you could go and use your Himban or something like that. Like, we work with maybe like 5% of our client base are assisted. And so it's like, that is an option for you if you're watching this and it's like, I am assisted, but like, for the most part, that wouldn't be the shout that you would use at this point anyway, unless like you're at the very, very, very end and it's like you want to risk your health to do so. But like, for the most part, it's just like, I'm not really losing fat, I'm going to drop my food and I'm going to do more cardio and steps. And it's like, everyone knows that. So if that's the case, then there is room to push a bigger deficit. And this question is a big one. That's why this bit is so challenging, because people don't understand how to ask this question. But most part, you just decrease food and increase expenditure. Like, you will come back next week and you'll be in this range. Now, there will be a point where you've dug so hard that there is no room to push a bigger deficit. And then this is where we come to this section here. So if you've got to this point and you're fucked, there's no possible way you can drop your food, there's no way you can do more cardio because it's just not realistic. Like, your food might be like at the bottom, you're starving all the time, like you're fucking ravenous, you can barely stick to the plan, and you're just so fucking hungry all the time, and it's just like, holy shit, like, there's just no way I'll be able to drop this food or do more cardio. It's not realistic. I've got no time to do additional cardio. And you come to here and it's like, right, if that has happened, it doesn't even go down any of these trees. It just means you've fucked everything up beforehand with your programming. So like you need to readdress your programming and probably stop the fat loss phase, reverse out, and then try again next time. Like that's why I said at the start, like the initial plans is like so important, because you don't want to fall into that position where you dug so hard so early that you just completely fucked. Now, if you are in a position where like you get to a point where though you are actually fucked, like you've got brain fog, you feel really tired, you know, your sex drive is low, you're getting weak in the gym, like you just feel like, oh my god, like this is getting really fucking hard, then you need to go and have a deload and a diet break, most likely. Again, depending upon data, depending upon feedback, depending upon how long the stall has been for, like what actually is going on. You probably need a deload and diet break if you are actually fucked. Now, bear in mind, it's going to be hard. So it's like, it's not like, oh, this is a bit tough. No, it's like, if you're fucked, like really fucked, you need a deload and a diet break. And so when you deload, this will be a reduction of training and or cardio and eating more food. Okay, so primarily driving carbohydrates up and bringing yourself roughly up to maintenance. But then you run that, and then you ask the next week, did this work? Like you look at your visuals, you look at your body weight, did it change, did it go up or did it go down? And if you know how to interpret a deload and a diet break, you can say, did it work? Yes, okay, it did work, inform future programming. So you now know that you were so fatigued that this was why you were stalling with fat loss. So inform future programming, change your program, go back to the start, you'll be fine. It would probably be a reduction in volume and maybe a little bit more food and or a longer timeline. Now, if it didn't work, then you actually just need to reduce training volume like straight away. So like you need to do less stuff in the gym. So if you're doing 3 sets and everything, it's probably more like you need to do 2 on most things. As you get deeper and deeper and deeper into a fat loss phase, like you just have to do less. Like a lot of people start trying to do more with their training as they get leaner. It's like, that's the stupidest thing in the world. Like you probably need to do much less as you start to get really lean. You go back to the start, and then again, like that should have probably fixed the problem. Again, if you're assisted, you can increase anabolics, but again, that's going to be like 5% of the people probably watching this. Now, if you don't actually have time for a diet break because you're going on holiday next week or in 3 weeks and you just still need to get leaner, or you do have a photo shoot, which is obviously what this document is made for, and there's no time for a diet break because you just need to get leaner, like reduce training and cardio output, keep digging. You have to drop your food very aggressively, less expenditure, dig very hard with food, and just accept that it's going to be really shit. Like you just have to sort of just get on with it, and that's just how it is if you've left yourself not enough time. Now, it could not even be that you are fucked. There could be, and if you've got any level of like decent understanding of physiology, like you'll be able to understand this, like, right, there is room to push a bigger deficit. Client's not fucked yet, or you're not fucked yet, but there's very clearly some other variables that are masking fat loss. So poor sleep, high stress, digestion is a problem, anabolic stacks change again if you're one of that 5% of the population, and you know, things like moving house, I've got a new job, I'm, you know, getting married, whatever the fuck it is, and there's just general shit going on in your life, like that needs to be addressed. Like you need to learn how to manage your stress, improve your body's ability to recover from the challenge that you're putting it through, address outside variables, go back to the start, you'll be fine. If there's no time to address outside variables, can you push the date back for whatever it is that you need to be ready for? If it's a holiday or photo shoot, if you can't, then yes, push the date back, address outside variables, and then continue to dig. If you can't, then you just have to explain the situation to yourself, because you're not a client, and just go, right, this is the situation I'm in. I can either push harder and get there, and it's going to be very hard, or I just sort of just accept where I'm at. Now, all of this should never happen, really. Like, this is when shit has gone so wrong that you've completely fucked it, and now there's a big problem. Like, that should never really happen in a photo shoot, or unless you're trying to like get on stage and get like to 5% body fat. Like, this should never really happen. It should never happen. Like the most part, like, you should just always be here. It should always just be like here, yes. Like that is what like 95%, 90% of our photo shoot transformations go. Like, occasionally someone might need a bit of a deload because they came in and they want to get ready in 12 weeks or whatever. They want to get really lean. And so it's this stuff over here should never happen. Now, the biggest challenges here, like, hopefully you watch this and you go, okay, I can probably see potentially where I'm going wrong. The main things that we need to make sure we know what to do is, like, you know, are we in a position where you can actually judge visuals? As I mentioned at the start, like, are you judging visuals correctly? Like, when it comes to like decreasing food, it's like decreasing food at the correct pace, at the correct level. Like, how much less food do I have? Where do I pull it from? Do I pull it from carbs, proteins, or fats? Do I have different amounts that I pull down on different days, whether it's a training day or whether it's a rest day? You know, how am I structuring cardio throughout the week? Like, there's so many things that will obviously go into that. The biggest thing is like understanding like what a deload is. Like, should I take a complete break? Do I need a few days of just lower volume of training? Do I need to do a diet break, and how much do I increase my food by? What macronutrients am I supposed to increase? And again, the exact things, the exact system that I've used with myself in my fat loss phases. Obviously, I've built some muscle here, but like exact same system that I used in fat loss phases, especially for the photo shoot prep on the right, is literally exactly the same situation, where it's like, if you just follow that process, nothing stopping you from pulling as much body fat off as you want, nothing stopping you whatsoever from getting sub 10% body fat and pushing it as far as you want to. You could use this process to get on stage if you wanted to. It's like, this will solve all your problems if you know how to implement it. So hopefully this has been really useful, and has probably identified like where it is that you're going wrong. Now, if you're in a position where it's like, I don't know how much I'm supposed to decrease food by, I'm not sure exactly what I need to be doing, X, Y, Z, and setting everything up specifically, there'll probably be a link somewhere below, or you can message me. And if you want, there's absolutely no pressure at all. Hopefully the video has sorted everything for you. But if you want, you can book in a 15-minute call. We're opening these up probably by the time you're watching this. It'll probably be open for the next month or two, where we're essentially looking to collect some data and understand sort of what people's problems are, so we can make better content. So it's more of a selfish thing from our perspective, but it will help you out as well. Book in a 15-minute call. We want to ask you some questions, understand what it is that you're doing right now, understand what it is that you're doing wrong. Obviously for you, highlight that, and then obviously give you the guidance that you would need. So it's like, okay, I don't know what my visuals look like, so we can show you, you know, exactly the next step that you need to take. You know, I'm not exactly sure, like, am I actually fucked, I'm fatigued, and I actually need a deload and a diet break? How am I supposed to do that? Obviously, we'll run you through that on the call, but again, selfishly, we get to understand exactly what everyone's problems are, so we can make better content, make better videos like this to actually solve your problems, and obviously you'll get something from it as well. So either click the link below or drop me a message back, and hopefully we can fix whatever the issue is for you.